Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Corbin,
And I'm Dr. Madrano.
and today we're going to talk about our path through undergrad. Okay, Damien, let's talk about the first semester, your experience, what were some things you were doing, what were you into, and finals.
So first semester, I thought was really, really hard. It's a big transition, right? You're away from home and you're navigating so many different new areas with the whole social life, and the academic curriculum is really rigorous, especially for pre-meds. So for me, I found it particularly challenging. We're talking biology, chemistry.
Yeah.
I don't think physics was there yet, but a lot of sciences all at once. And I did the scheduling was very nice compared to high school, I will say. I had some classes at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Those were good. And then there's periodically you get the afternoon off, right?
Right.
But just the requirement, right? First week alone, I think biology required 100 pages of reading material in the first week. And I was like, wow, this is going to be kind of a challenge. I don't know about you, but I cannot just sit down and plow through books like that. I have to slowly digest things, and felt like I was getting behind a lot because, if you take even a couple days off, you can get really behind very fast in these classes. And so it was a big challenge, and I'm kind of competitive in a way. We talked about we're both athletes, and you're always thinking about how well you're doing compared to everyone else, right? It's hard not to think about that. Obviously, always focus on yourself and your own success, but I was like, all these people are doing a lot better than me, and I was starting to feel kind of a lot smaller than how I felt in high school, where I felt in high school I was dominating for the most part, excelling in most of my classes. And now I was just surrounded by dozens of more people, not hundreds, for these really big courses, and people are doing really well too, and just trying to figure out what's the best study strategies, right? Because when you have a lot of material to read, you can't just do flashcards on every page and highlight everything and all. So big time for me. How about for you? Did you feel like it was a pretty seamless transition, or any struggles?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I think for me, I share a similar kind of opinion of it was a lot of volume, a lot of coursework. But I think because I was just so dedicated to just being successful at the time, it just felt like, look, this is what I'm here for. I'm going to study. I'm going to study. I'm going to study. I'm going to work out. I'm going to study. I'm going to work out. I'm going to study. That's pretty much all I did. Of course, I went to some football games and had a good time. But for me, I just knew I didn't want to let the social aspects ruin my chances of future success. And one of the things that I really, really harped on, and I still believe to this day, is, I would rather have 4 years of kind of struggle and working really hard and not being like everyone else, to then live like no one else in the future, and be able to do the things that I want to do for 10, 20, 30 years, based off of the work that I did for these 4 years. And so I thought that it was a big transition. Quickly, I was able to surround myself by people who were of the similar mindset. And so, we kind of pushed each other to do really well, and it was successful. I really started to hone in on, each assignment's worth a specific amount of points, and that is this percentage of your grade. And so then, the weight of your midterm or your final is this percent. And so you start to realize really quickly what you can and can't do in order to get the final result. And so that's when my eyes were okay, it's time to show up. And I think similar to you, I tried not to compare myself to others. I still try not to do that. But I do think there's a healthy component of being in a shot group, and this is what I talk about a lot, is, there's a shot group of kids at each level who are not necessarily all at the very top, but they can be at the top in their individual own thing. And that's where I think is really important that if you're just in the shot group, you don't have to be the number one guy on everything or anything, but if you can just be within the group of people who are successful, that's where you're going to be happy, and you have more leeway to not be perfect at everything and not compare yourself to everybody.
So, Michael, how did you feel the first 2 years getting through college?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think after the first semester, I really kind of honed in on what the game was. And the game was all about percentages and points. And once I figured that out, essentially that's what I was trying to do each semester, right? So I was trying to, get the best grades I could get. In order to do that, I was studying really hard. I wanted to get involved in research.
Okay.
And the reason why, and it actually wasn't for medical school at all, it was because I knew that for patent law, I wanted to know the work that was put in behind each patent. So I want to know the other side. So if you're going to apply for a patent for intellectual property rights on something that you're working on, that you poured your heart and soul into, and it's my job to protect it with the words that I'm using, I got to understand how much work you put in to that so I can do it very effectively. And so what I did was I just emailed like 50 different professors and said, hey, I'm a first year freshman and I'm interested in working in your lab. And nobody except for one person responded. And it was in plant biochemistry.
Oh, I'm sure just what you were looking for. Right?
Yeah, and I was like, this is perfect. So I was so ecstatic. I was so happy that someone would give me the time of day. And I actually stayed in that lab all throughout undergrad. So
dedication.
Yeah, and it had, again, nothing to do with medical school. And we'll talk about how that kind of developed, but essentially it was all about understanding the ins and outs of patent law. And so for me, I didn't really have that feeling of this was super boring. It was more of I'm checking off the boxes that I need to be successful, and I'm working towards the goals that I have after undergrad.
Yeah.
I took a course at my local community college to get a jump start on the next year. I did physics over the summer. And so a few things about that is, number one, it's cheaper to do that. Number two, I checked and made sure it would count, and it did. And then number three, it allowed me to take other courses, and I actually used that time to be in the lab. So I didn't have to take physics the next year, and I used those hours as lab hours to count for credit.
Nice. Very different perspectives. I felt I was checking off the boxes and was, okay, what else have I done? I checked off these boxes, but I haven't felt like I made any real growth in other aspects. But, you do highlight an important thing, being proactive, right? And for me, I wasn't emailing people, but I would go to office hours periodically for the courses I felt like I was struggling with, but also for the professors, I thought, maybe this is someone I might want to have write a letter of recommendation for me. Right. So show up periodically, have a few conversations about, whatever, and obviously, focusing on your course and what you can do to get better. But I think that's a huge mindset advantage when you're trying to be proactive in undergrad early, and man, the number of doors that could open that we just both talked about, right?
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching that video. If you found it valuable, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.
We're definitely going to closely look at those comments for any feedback. Also, follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Built for Medicine, and feel free to email us at builtformedicine@gmail.com.